Thank you so much, Sneh. Good morning or good day, UKZN students and staff. Welcome to the final Tech Talk for the year, hosted by the School of Mathematics, Statistics and Computer Science. My name is Leena Rajpal, and I'm the Public Relations Representative for the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Most importantly, I want to thank our guests from BSG who have taken the time to come and present to our students and staff. I would like to mention a few house rules, which many of you might now be familiar with. Firstly, the event is recorded. In terms of complying with the POPIA Act, kindly note that we will use the information from the event for publishing purposes. Should you not want your information to be published, kindly email rajpal@ukzn.ac.za. During the course of the event, all attendees will be muted with their videos switched off. If you have any questions during the presentations, kindly post them in the chat box facility where someone will answer them. During the Q&A session, the presenter will give you a chance to ask your questions. Please raise your hand so that the tech person can identify you and allow to unmute so that you can pose your questions to the presenter. If by any chance attendees interfere with the presentation, we'll note your details and remove you from the event. Finally, the recordings will be emailed to all attendees present and will also be posted on the CAES website. I would now like to hand over to Dr. Gwetu, who is the discipline leader for the discipline of computer science.
Thank you so much, Leena. Great. Welcome, everyone, to our very last Tech Talk, Computer Science Tech Talk of 2022, brought to you courtesy of the college PR office. Today, we host a proudly South African company that is in the consulting and technology space. That company is BSG. Now, they're here to advance 3 objectives. 1, they obviously would like to meet you and hopefully get you to join them someday as a part of the company. And 2, they would like to impart some of their knowledge, and in particular, some of the expertise they've gained from using machine learning. And thirdly, they don't just want you to hear about them from them. They would like you to hear from them, about them rather, from alumni, people that have been in your shoes and that are now at BSG. So we'll get to hear from 2 alumni, and throughout all of this, you'll get an opportunity just to listen in, take notes, equip yourself, and most importantly, we'll give you an opportunity to ask questions. That opportunity will mainly come at the end in our Q&A section. So please note that and write your questions down. At the end of the session, you will get an opportunity to be unmuted, where you can pose your questions audibly. However, if you've got questions as the program goes, you can type them in the chat box. And an exciting part of our Tech Talk today is prizes. So I'm going to be asking 3 questions at some point during our presentations. So please listen out. So these questions are there just to gauge your level of engagement and whether you've been participating or not. I'm not an expert from BSG, but they're going to be guiding me in terms of making sure that there's fairness and the answers to those questions are adequate. So thank you, everyone, and welcome once again. And at this point, I will hand over to Ivhani, our first speaker and host from BSG. Over to you, Ivhani.
Thanks, Doctor. Hi, everyone. I'm Ivhani. I'm a software developer at BSG. I'm going to be taking you guys through our presentation today that's going to talk through just a little bit about BSG, a little bit about some of the capabilities that we have. We also have an interesting presentation that Graham will take you through, which is around machine learning in the context of South Africa. And then, as Dr. Mandla already said, there's 2 alumni that are going to talk to you today around their journey going from university, UKZN specifically, to working for BSG. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a software developer. It says senior software developer there. That just means that compared to the average person, I can copy code better than them, and I know where to put it. I joined BSG almost 7 years ago now as a graduate. Probably where you guys are. Some of you guys are at this point, and I've been with them ever since. I am mainly a backend Java developer. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Most of these things are, I also didn't know before I started. Cool. All right, now, maybe some of you have heard about BSG, maybe some of you haven't, and this is just some detail about who BSG is, and specifically for those people that may not have heard about it. As Dr. Mandle has already said, we are a technology and consulting company. We're a homegrown South African company as well. And what are we good at, you might ask? We help companies with platform modernization. We also help them with data platform engineering, building and operationalizing insight-led solutions. That's a mouthful. We'll probably talk through some of these things as we go through the presentation. You might not know what some of these things are, but hopefully this starts sparking some conversations, and you can Google a few things around what are some of the things that you can do after your degree. We also help companies with business and IT operating models, as well as client experience and engagement. Now, what's our approach in our projects? At the center of everything that we do, we place value at the center of everything that we do. That means that we always aim to deliver value to our clients, and that's very critical. We work with our clients to procreate solutions. Our design, our growth mindsets, as well as our design mindsets, ensures that our people as well as our client grow together, and that's very critical because the intention is not just deliver a solution, is to have both our people, which is our employees, as well as our clients grow in the process. Our clients need to be able to support the systems that we work on while we're with them. We combine our business as well as our technical and data skills in our delivery. And who do we work with? Again, if you don't know BSG, you might be asking that question, who do these guys work with? Our clients are in the following industries: banking, insurance, healthcare, as well as energy. Now, there are a few images at the bottom there that might be of interest. So the one is learning. It says 70-20-10 learning, and you'll probably hear that word coming out in a few conversations as we go through the presentation. That's very critical in BSG. That's very important. We've delivered over 800 projects over the last 25 years. And again, like I said, we're a homegrown South African company. And we also have a socio-economic development capability that basically works with LEAP science and math schools to help improve our part of our education system, at least. Cool. Now, to the topic of today, machine learning specifically at BSG. Some of you might know what machine learning is. And if you do, you know it's a very broad topic. We're not going to try to cover everything in this topic today, in this conversation today. Today is focused on machine learning, a little bit about machine learning, but we have a few more capabilities at BSG that do so much more. Specifically at BSG, machine learning sits across two capabilities. That's two departments, our technology as well as DNA capability. Technology are people that will probably be writing code almost every day in their lives, so software development and things like that. And DNA is our data and analytics capability. And Graham and Jamal will be taking you guys through today's case study around machine learning in the context of South Africa. Now, I'm from the technology capability, and what do we do? So we do full stack development. Again, if you don't know what that means, you can maybe read up a little bit about it. It means that there's some front-end development, some back-end development, something related to databases here and there. We do what's called DevOps. We also do both cloud as well as data engineering. Some of the technologies that we use are Java, Microsoft.NET, Python, React, as well as Angular for our front end. Now, again, maybe talking about our clients a bit, right? So who do we work with? Our clients are large enterprises. We help them architect as well as build scalable applications. And that's very critical, right? Because as most of you know, Black Friday is coming, people will be ordering stuff, and we want to know that we're building applications that are able to respond to change. Whenever there's 1,000 requests coming in to buy something on Take a Lot, we want to make sure that people don't have a very bad experience there. I'm not saying we work with Take a Lot. Oftentimes this means we have to integrate with multiple internal and external applications, both on-premise and in the cloud. On-premise just means that our clients probably have their own data center somewhere, and it's not in any one of the popular public cloud providers. We also help our clients with migrating both data as well as applications into the cloud. This can involve rewriting their legacy applications to be cloud native. And there's an important note at the bottom there that says we see ourselves as builders and instead of configurators, and that's very important, right? We don't want to just come in and configure something and leave. And most of the time, our clients are able to work with whatever we worked on. We want to build, and we want to build with our clients. I'm gonna hand over to Graham, who's gonna take you guys through today's case study.
Cool, thanks, Ivhani. Good afternoon, UKZN. So the case study, well, let me first say me. My name's Graham. I did an undergrad in computer science and physics, and then a master's degree in physics. That's just so that you know that you don't have to be studying code to be doing this type of work. Thank you. There we go. Now, cool. Yeah, I've been at BSG for almost 2 months now. So the case study I'm going to take you through is unfortunately not something that we did at BSG, but it's something that BSG would do. It's the kind of work that we're looking to do and the kind of work that we do. Cool. Okay, so this is the case study that we're going to go through. So my client was a car insurer, and basically what they wanted to do was to detect a claim, which really means an impact in real time. So how they sort of figured they can do that is they required everybody who was insured with them to have a stolen vehicle recovery unit installed in their vehicle. And that unit had a little accelerometer on it, which would look at the acceleration of the vehicle. And if that acceleration went over a certain threshold, it would say, I think maybe I've been in an accident, send a snapshot of that acceleration trace to the back end for the machine learning algorithms to have a look at and try and determine, was this an accident, was it a pothole, etc. So our client sort of thought process went, we can really easily do this for extreme events. So if your car's going 120 and then in half a second it's doing 0, you kind of know you've been in a major accident. If your vehicle rolls over, you'll see that your Z-axis will invert, and easy to detect. So we can do it for the extreme events. So maybe we can do it for the less extreme events. They also realized that as a human looking at these traces, we kind of can do a good job at determining, yes, this is an accident, no, it's not. So we decided that, okay, a machine should be able to do this. And then what allowed us as humans to actually make that those claims was that the dimensionality of the data is quite low, which means that as people, we can kind of hold it in our heads and make the call ourselves. There were some quite heavy constraints on this because people don't always claim for small accidents. We had very few true positives, so labeled traces that were actually accidents, and a vast number of potential accidents coming in. So a couple of hundred true accidents that we knew were true, and 10 to 100,000 accidents that had come in. And then of course, there's just a huge amount of variability that can come in to these accelerometer traces. It could be different vehicles, different road surfaces, different road conditions, the speed of the vehicle, the object that you impacted with or that impacted with you, and then of course where this device is mounted in the vehicle. They're never mounted in the same place because it's a stolen vehicle recovery unit. So if it was in the same place, the thieves would find out where you put it within a few days, and it would be a useless product. So this is a trace of what we might have got from a vehicle that thought it had been in an accident. In this one, we can see nice and clearly that Z-axis does invert. So it looks like if this was actually a vehicle, it would have perhaps rolled over. This isn't actually a vehicle trace. This is just a accelerometer trace that I stole from Google. Okay, so the solution we came up with, the solution is broken up into many parts. I'm going to talk about one interesting part of feature engineering and then one interesting part of the neural network approach that we took in order to solve this problem. So feature engineering is basically looking at the information you've got and engineering it into a way that your machine learning model will be more able to make a prediction from. So we tried very, very many feature engineering approaches on this. And this is an interesting one and one that we found very valuable. So that's why we're going to go through it a bit. So what I've been doing in a previous project on a data science competition platform was we were trying to classify birds by their calls. So we were working a lot with audio information. And one of the techniques we used there was a frequency, you call it a fast Fourier transform. It transforms the information from amplitude into frequency and tells you where the energy of that call is in terms of frequency over time rather than amplitude over time. And since I was looking at these accelerometer traces and I thought that kind of looks like a low resolution audio file, we decided to give it a bash and try and create one of these spectrographs from our accelerometer profiles. What we did slightly differently to this is, so here we've got a single axis, so it's one trace, and then we used color for the intensity of our energy in each frequency. What we ended up doing for ours, as we had 3 axes, and conveniently there are 3 primary colors in an image, so we converted our X to red, Y to blue, Z to green. So we made a full color image, but out of our 3-axis accelerometer data. And then we fed that into a neural network. So we used a neural network to overcome the constraints of having so little real data, real labeled data. And we'll get into that just now. But for now, I just wanted to sort of have a look at what a neural network looks like on the inside. So this is a typical convolutional neural network. It's doing an image recognition. And basically, they've broken it up into your low-level features, your middle-level features, and your high-level features. And so if we look at it from left to right, on the left, we've got the low-level features, and you can see in those blocks, it's detecting features like it's got some edge detection, it's got some gradients that it's detected, it's detected a couple of spots. On the next mid-level, it sort of puts those low-level features together to make more complex, more useful features. So you'll see it might be putting in the middle on the left there, you've got like a dot, which was probably it putting together an edge detection and one of the spots. You've got some repeating lines. You've got what starts to look like a couple of patterns coming on in there. And then in the high level features, you've got things that almost look like parts of the car that it's sort of brought in. So it's got on the bottom left, it's got what could be part of a grille. On the top left, it's got pieces that could look like a wheel. So it's building these components to say, okay, does it have this? Then it's probably part of a car. If not, maybe not. So what we do then is we want our neural network to build those higher level features without having to give it a whole bunch of labeled data, or at least a whole bunch of labeled data that we don't have. So what we did is we used a technique called transfer learning. And basically what that is we use the neural network to learn something that we do have labels for, so that it can build up those features. And then after that, we take off the output layer, we add in a few more layers, and then get it to focus its learning on the thing that we only have a few labeled cases for. So what we did is we grabbed all of our vehicles, and luckily we had logged what vehicle every single unit went into. So we took our vast set of data that we had from tens of thousands of potential crashes, and we said to our neural network, right, here's the data. We want you to learn, is this a sedan, is it a hatchback, or is it a bakkie? I know there's a motorbike and a bus there, but those are just for pretty pictures. And once it had done that, it's then internally built up those high-level features, and then also given us some context of, is it actually able to learn anything from the data we're putting in, or are we really just wasting our time? So once we'd done that, we found that it was very good at classifying out the bakkies versus the other vehicles, which we were fairly confident it would be able to. But also it was quite good at determining the difference between a sedan and a hatchback. So we thought, great, it's learned some stuff. It's got those features that it can understand the data we're putting into it. And then we could say, okay, stop thinking about the type of vehicle. Here's what you're really looking for. Was this an actual crash, or was it something else, a speed bump, a pothole, what have you? And after doing that transfer learning onto the impact data, we found that it was actually accurate enough that our client could go ahead and start calling people with enough certainty that they weren't just going to flood everybody all the time with false positives. So yeah, that was our case study. The technology that we used, so a lot of technology goes into this, and most of this was written in Python, but particularly for the transfer learning, we used this platform called Fast AI. Their slogan is making neural networks uncool again. The idea is that you don't need to be a specialized user to be able to use it. You can pick it up and get going from basically any level. It's built on top of PyTorch. PyTorch is a platform that sort of handles neural network building and that kind of thing. Fast AI's goal is to have a flat learning curve, so it's accessible to beginners, but also to be flexible enough for researchers to use. And that is very true. The transfer learning that we were using, it was probably only came out in research papers 18 months before it was a fully fledged feature on Fast AI. And certainly things like KAES were nowhere near it at that stage. Fast AI it focuses on four main deep learning techniques. They are computer vision, natural language processing, tabular or time series data, and recommender systems. It's a high-level API, so it means you can get into it quite quickly, but they've put a lot of work into making sure that it works seamlessly with its underlying libraries from PyTorch. And that means it works sort of in two directions. So you can inject your Fast AI components into PyTorch, but also you can access the original PyTorch functionality from Fast AI. And it's optimized to run on GPU. So you've got all of that parallel processing at your fingertips. So this is a bit of the platforms that we built. At BSG, we tend to work on, we want to work on what is the best option for our clients. We sometimes have to work on what they've already got. So generally, we work on basically anything and everything that is available. At the moment, I'm working on a data mesh platform fully developed in AWS. We're using TerraGrunt to deploy it from code and using our AWS and Python to do all of our ETL transformations and that sort of thing. So we really just use whatever we need to get the job done in the best way. Cool, and that is all from my side. Back to you, Ivhani.
Cool, thank you. Funny enough, a few months ago, I hit a pothole and I got a phone call to find out whether or not I was in an accident. So I do wonder if this was maybe one of your technology now that you worked on. But that's pretty cool. Thanks, Graham. I'm going to hand off to Dr. Mandla for.
Thanks so much, gentlemen. Exciting talk so far. I've enjoyed hearing about BSG and also enjoyed hearing about the projects that you are, working on. To our students, and now is the time for us to check whether you've been paying attention. I've got 2 questions for you, and in the rules of engagement are that you can get a prize, but in order for you to get a prize, you need to be one of the first people that raises your hand to volunteer to answer that question. So I'm not going to ask you to say the answer. I'm going to ask you to type the word ready on the chat box. That's if you think you've got the answer. And the first person that's going to type the word ready is going to be the first person that's going to get given an opportunity to see if they are correct or not. Okay, so the first question, Ivhani said that they use several technologies in their development. He said they use Java. He said they use .NET. He said they use Python. He said they use React. Can you tell me one more platform that they said they use for front end? If you know the answer, type the word ready on the screen. Great, we've got Apelele and we've got Ndaba. Apelele goes first. Apelele, are you able to unmute yourself and tell us what the answer is? And in order for us to know whether or not you are correct, we'll ask our judges who are our experts from industry. Okay, Snare, are you able to unmute Apelele? Hi, Snare.
Can she raise her hand so I can see her?
Yes. Okay, Apelele, please raise your hand. Apelele, you went first. Okay, I can see Graham says he wants to have a go. No, Graham, you're here as a judge today. Actually, the next question, you will help us to figure out whether it's correct or not. Okay, so Apelele has raised the hand. Apelele, go for it. Okay, Snare, can you please unmute Apelele?
Already did.
Okay, Apelele, you can go for it. Okay, if you can't speak Apelele, we'll ask you to type your answer on the chat box. And we'll just give you a few seconds to do that. Failing which, we will have to move on to Ndaba. Apelele, one more chance for you. Okay, shall we see if Ndaba can have a go? Ndaba, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes.
Yes, please tell us what your answer is.
That would be Angular.
Okay, over to you if I'm correct or incorrect.
And that is definitely correct.
Well done, Ndaba, you get our first prize. Our second question is related to the talk that Graham gave. So he was talking about a product that they designed for an insurance company. to detect whether there's a crash or not a crash. In there, using a neural network, there's a device called an accelerometer. And somewhere you mentioned some images, right? The question I have for you guys, now this is MCQ, is these images, from where did they come from? The first option, they came from pictures of where the car is. Second one, they came from the sound from where the car is. The third one, they came from synthesized data from frequency information. Then you might think all of the above applicable. You might think none of the above are applicable. So did these pictures come from the scene of the car? Did they come from the sound from the car? Did they come from synthesized data around frequency? Or all of the above or none of the above? Apelele, Tandolwetu, your hands are still up. Okay, Apelele, to be fair to you, shall we give you a chance to go this time? Okay, Apelele, do you want to type your answer on the screen? Okay, anyone who thinks they know the answer for that? Yes, we've got Leander. Leander, can you unmute yourself and tell us what the answer is? And
Hello?
Graham, this is going to be your call. Yes, go for it, Leander.
Yes, can I be allowed to record?
Yes, say your answer.
I would like to request to record the proceedings.
The proceedings are already being recorded, Leander.
Okay.
Okay, Tandolwetu, do you want to have another go?
Yes.
Yes, please go for it.
Synthesized data.
Okay, Graham, please tell us yes or no.
Yes, that is the correct answer. Well done.
Awesome, well done, everyone. Over back to you, Ivhani. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Awesome, thank you. So technology is being a problem here. I'm trying to figure out how it works. My screen is missing now. So, but I'm gonna now hand over to two of the UKZN alumni to take you through their journey from university to BSG. So just give us a second so that we start sharing on our side. There we go. So I'm going to hand over to Ndabenhle and Ayesha, who are going to introduce themselves, and after that, they'll take you guys through how did they move from UKZN down to BSG.
Hi, thanks, Ivhani. So my name is Ayesha. I've worked at BSG 2 years or so. I'm studying computer science at UKZN Westville, and yeah, mostly working with backend stuff, pro.net, and often I find it the Java people, but you'll learn that soon enough. And recently just trying to get into a little bit of some front end stuff. So, like you guys were obviously moving down from KZN, well, it's a little bit of a different sort of province and can be a little bit overwhelming coming to Johannesburg. But really speaking, just be excited for this next part of the journey. And yeah, UKZN does a great job at getting you ready for whatever unexpected is. But also, BSG really helped us when we moved with a relocation pack, and we had some mentors that advise us, hey, you should live here, this is how you should go about. And BSGs are always here to support you. I think that's one thing that when I was looking to apply for companies that was really a catch for me about BSGs is the strong people focus. At this moment, we always, like, anybody can reach out to anybody and chat and talk about, hey, how are you doing today? It's not weird if Ivhani is a senior developer for me to message him and say, I'm like the junior guy. I can just say, hey, Ivhani, I need some help. It's not weird at all, which I think is really great. Another thing about BSG is really strong focus on learning. So like I said, I'm kind of looking into front end stuff now, and there'll always be lots of people to support you and say, hey, I've got this course. Why don't you try this one? Or I tried this. it's really great because when the more you learn, the more sort of parts that you can explore. And so now I say I started off as back-end developer, but I can still go into front-end developer. And that is something that is really great about BSG, that you have so many different options that you can. And now I'm going to Ndaba just to talk about what we would have focused on when we were at campus. We know what we knew now.
Cool. Thank you, Ayesha. There is a whole lot of things that you need to learn as we grow up, and unfortunately, we all learn by getting involved in all those things. I'll just take you guys through a few things that I think are worth knowing while you're still an undergrad. By the way, my name is Ndabenhle Ndaba. I hold an undergrad degree from UKZN Computer Science. I later on did my honors also with UKZN in computer science as well. So just to tell you guys about some things that I think are worth knowing even before you go into the working industry or working environment is it is very much important to try and create a routine that will align or that will try and mimic the working world environment. So that will mean that you have to manage your time and not just as a student, you have well, you think it's fine that you can just study the whole night and never really catch a break because you have like a lot of breaks in between after semesters. But in the working environment, you don't have the liberty to those long breaks. So if you take the very same mentality towards the working environment, you find yourself bending too quickly. So it's kind of fine that you try and learn to limit yourself, try and create a routine for you that will work and also try and mimic the working environment hours. So the trick here is try to use the time that you have and be most effective in the limited time that you have. Moving on to the second one is, this one is the most important one thus far. So you just need to focus on the content of computer science as a whole, or IS if you are doing IS as a whole rather than needing to pass a module. I'll just make an example about myself. There is a module called 313 I was doing in third year, and it was mostly about computer systems, using threads, scheduling jobs, and I did not like that module so much. I just focused on passing it. But little did I know that my approach towards just wanting to pass that module will come back later in my life and help me. Right now, I've been using a lot of threads and scheduling the jobs, and it's a lot of things that I should have focused on during my third year. And now I find myself trying to look into Moodle, but I'm already blocked. I have to look through my old books. So don't be me. As soon as you go to Comp 100 up until Comp 304, or if you're going over with honors, I would just say focus on understanding the content more than you just focus on passing the module and graduating. And then the last one is try by all means to explore different sectors. Like computer science is a very big stream. You have a lot of careers under computer science. You have your data engineers, data analysts, you have your developers, your software engineers. You can even go the managerial route. So I think it's very much useful to get to know what is going on out there, what are career paths that are in demand, and it helps you even when you're applying, because you may have an idea of what that career is about, and then maybe you would just go to automation testing, but you have little idea of what that is about. So I would say try by all means to familiarize with all the career paths that are under the umbrella of computer science. And I'll hand over back to Ivhani.
Thanks, Ndabenhle. Thanks, Ayesha. I think two things that our speakers definitely talk to is something that I think is very important. Part of the BSG culture, I think, there's a very strong focus on learning. And sometimes, Ndabenhle, yes, you need to know the building blocks of how threads work. But we'll allow you time to sort of catch up and learn some of these things that you haven't learned. We'll also allow you to explore different parts. I think Ayesha talked about how at BSG there's a level of flexibility, right? So if you want to explore front end, if you want to explore back end, if you want to explore data engineering, there's some flexibility in terms of what it is that you can explore. Now, moving on to learning, I'm going to hand over back to Ndabenhle, who's just going to take us through our boot camp. So Ndabenhle was going through a boot camp earlier on this year, and he's just going to take you through that journey and what that was like for him.
Great. Thanks again, Ivhani. So just to give you a little bit of context around this is at BSG, we have a boot camp that lasts around 6 months upon joining as a graduate program. So what happens here in the 6 months is BSG will actually put you in a space where you are involved in the software development lifecycle from the beginning to the end. So they will give you a little bit of introduction to most of the industry standards, best coding, and also how to utilize some tech stack that we have or that industries are using at the moment. So just to take you through my bootcamp journey is I got involved with many of the tech stack in the 6 months of the bootcamp, and you get to know a little bit more of many technologies that you didn't even know that they exist while you're still in school. When you're still in school, especially in that year, you have a little bit of confidence in your coding abilities and you think you're ready to take over the world. And the moment you reach the industry space, you find that there's a whole lot of ways that the industry actually go through towards solving the problem. And also there's a lot of technologies that you are not accustomed into. So that's what the bootcamps assist you in. Just also an example in here, we got used to Docker, which is like a containerization. We got to get involved with microservices, which is like a new big thing in the industry now, and also some of the things you may know. So I do wish like some things in this list, I got to maybe have that introduction while I was still in varsity. For example, also in my third year, my third year was quite a busy year, but also in my third year on my Ayesha project, we used to develop our project at the lab called G20, but we are presenting at a different lab. And when it was the time for the presentation, we tried to run our software and it wasn't working, our application. So it was just crashing. We didn't know what was wrong. So you would develop on G20 lab and then you would push it into the remote school files and then we'll download it again. So it wasn't working. We spent like a lot of 30 minutes. The lectures at that time almost cut us off because it was like bugs, and usually on a third year project, if your project has bugs, your case is off. But we managed to fix it. And after arriving at BSG, I found out about Docker and containerization. And I so wish that like these type of things as well, you could get involved in, or you can know a little bit about them at varsity level. But then I got into the bootcamp and it introduced me to all these technologies, and it just like propel you towards going to the client environment, so that by the time you reach the client environment, you have some little bit of confidence in your delivery, and you also know that there are typical many ways of killing a cat, but this would be which one would be the most effective. And yeah, that will be all. Thank you. I'll hand over back to Ivhani.
Thanks, Ndabenhle. I think maybe just a little bit more about our bootcamp. Yeah, so it's about 4 to 6 months, and the intention is, we know universities do very good jobs in terms of training you guys to improve your problem-solving skills. And obviously they can't go touch all of these, small technologies that everybody is using. So they do a good job in laying the foundation. However, we understand that coming from university all the way to, if we put you in a client working at a bank, working with Docker, for example, like let's say, it might be overwhelming. So that's why we have a 4 to 6 month bootcamp. We don't do 3 weeks, 4 weeks. We feel that we need quite a bit of time to just take you through that process of learning how life would be like as soon as you join the client. And Ndabenhle has joined the client now, and I'm hoping that this bootcamp was able to help prepare into the client environment. And then moving on. You might be asking, okay, yeah, that's a lot about BSG and Docker and machine learning. Who's BSG? How do I, apply for to work at BSG? I saw some questions in the chat around applications. So this is just a slide around our process. So if you were to apply, you'd go to our website, which is bsg.co.za/sign-up-GRP. It is at the bottom left, and then you fill out an application form, upload all the supporting documents that are required. Our people effectiveness team will review your application as a second step, and as well as your supporting documents. And people effectiveness is what other companies will call human resources. BSG would call that people effectiveness for various reasons. I will not get into those right now. But as a third step, you'll probably go through an interview. This is an initial interview to figure out if you are a fit for BSG, and more importantly, if BSG is a fit for you. I think it's very important to know that in an interview, the company is not just interviewing you to see if you're a fit. You need to interview to see if that company is a fit for you, right? Do the values that they have align with the values that you want? And I think for me, when I only applied to 2 companies after university, and I think BSG was the one place where their values really aligned with the values that I had. You'll get the next step is to I guess a second interview. That this might be an in-person skills interview, or it might be a remote interview also. We also have an option of having a selectathon day, what we call a selectathon day, where we get a group of people to come in and they work together to solve problems, and they all the interviews happen in one day. And then the 5th stage is basically an offer. At BSG, we believe in being a proactive force of positive change. You probably see that all around our office and on our website as well. And then as a last step, obviously you'll get welcomed and onboarded. I think one thing that was very interesting for me was on the first day at BSG, I remember the CEO coming in and welcoming us, and that was very interesting for me. Coming from university, how does he get time to come in and talk to a few graduates that are joined? But that really helped sort of instill some of those values that I believe BSG has. Cool. And then maybe if you didn't get the website, so this is the website is down there, bsg.co.za/sign-up-GRP. There's a dash between up and sign, as well as between up and GRP. You can also scan your QR codes. I know you guys have cell phones that scan everything, so you can also scan your QR codes to go to this link. All right, thank you. We're going to stay on this slide for a bit. If anybody needs to scan, don't worry, you don't need to rush and take pictures. But I'm going to hand over to Dr. Mandla.
Great, thank you so much, Ivhani, and thanks to our alumni. Thanks, Ayesha. Thanks, Ndabenhle. Nice to see you guys again, and great to hear that you're doing well. Some good gems coming out of there. Ayesha told us about, just how good BSG is. She told us about relocation assistance. She also told us about the great support that she received as she was settling in from senior BSG personnel. And eventually they gave us some good advice just in terms of aligning your work schedule while you're a student towards the work schedule that you expect when you're going to be in the working world. So some great advice there. Now, next, we're going to go into our Q&A session. I see some of you have already been typing questions on the chat box, and our guests have been answering them, but we'll give you one more chance just to ask questions audibly. But before we get to that, I've got one more prize to give away. And that prize is going to go to the person that was paying attention, particularly when Ndabenhle was speaking. Now, Ndabenhle gave us he told us a story about his ISTN project, and they encountered a problem there, and that problem had to do with deployment. And unfortunately, there's a technology that he hadn't quite encountered in his undergraduate studies that he recommends that would be a good thing for us to adopt. Which technology was that? Was it Bitbucket? Was it Bamboo? Was it MySQL, or was it Docker? I can see we already have people firing away. Okay, Muloko, you get to go first. If you get it wrong, we will give Ngobile a chance. Oko, are you able to unmute yourself? Okay, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand so that Sneh can see you. Yes, Sneh, please. Yes, there you go. you were unmuted, Loco. Please tell us the answer. And Ndabenhle is going to verify whether or not you're correct. Go for
Hi.
it.
The
Hi.
software was Docker.
Okay, Ndabenhle, fingers crossed. Is she correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Well done. Congratulations to our winners for the day. Thank you so much, everyone. And now the floor is open for your questions. So all along, you've been typing away, but now we'd like to see, who's confident. These are the people that are going to be employing you. So now's a good opportunity for you to get seen, for you to showcase your brilliant questions. Some of you have already showcased your brilliant attentiveness skills. So let's hear some of the bright questions that you've got based on the presentation that you've heard. We've had, questions talking about background. Is it only for computer science? And we saw the answer to that is no. Everyone is welcome. We also had a question about applications. Are they still open? Yes, that's good news. And you've got a link there that will assist you in terms of where to go for applications. Okay, so now we're gonna ask people just to raise their hands, and I will give you an opportunity to pose a question. Your question can be on BSG, it can be on career advice, it can be to our alumni as well. Okay, so I'm waiting for hands to go up. Okay, do we have any questions for our guests today?
See, there's a few questions coming in the chat.
Okay, great. So I can hand over to you, Ivhani, then, if you'd like to delegate them to your team.
The first one is, does BSG take chemical engineering students? You'll be very surprised. We actually have a few engineering graduates. I don't know if we have any here, but I think there's quite a few engineering graduates at BSG. So definitely apply even if you're from the engineering discipline. When is the right time to start applying for internships? Our internships run, I think, halfway through the year. So obviously for this year, that's a bit too late. But I think at the beginning of next year, you can definitely apply for internships that run somewhere between June and July. Do we offer bursaries? As far as I'm aware, I don't think we do offer bursaries. So that would be a no for that question. So I don't know if there were other questions that were asked in the chat. Yes, I think a few other questions have been answered around whether applications are still open. Ayesha also posted a link to our website there for those who are still looking to apply. Does BSG have an age restriction and an average mark restriction? As far as I'm aware, there isn't. There isn't an age restriction. Your marks obviously tell a story. So again, if you apply and then we'll obviously ask you for your transcript, and we'll ask you questions about your marks if necessary. But I don't think we have you have to have like 70%. I don't think we have any of that as far as I know.
Yeah, I can support that. So we don't sort of have specific sets of marks that we look at. It gets part of or included as part of a broader conversation in understanding you as a person as well as your university marks. So it's something we look at very specifically, but it is part of the application process.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be the one thing that we focus on. There's a whole broader range of things that we'll look at. If you see my marks from university, I'm pretty sure everybody here will apply after they see my marks. So cool. I don't know if there's any other questions there. And no, I'm not going to send you my marks from university, but if you were to see that, you'd be very surprised that I have a job now. I used to do what Ndabenhle was talking about. I used to have a very bad schedule. I'd work throughout the night, sometimes for a couple of days, mainly because I didn't prepare on time. And that's not good. At BSG, you find, we have regular conversations about your mental health. You need to take very good care of your mental health. You cannot be going for 3 days not sleeping. You need to plan on time. That's very critical. Awesome. I don't think there's any other unanswered questions. I don't know if any of our panel members would like to add anything on the questions that I answered. If not, I can hand over back to Dr. Mandla.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been a great presentation. It's been great getting to know more about BSG. Thank you so much to Graham for an interesting case study about machine learning, neural networks, and particularly fast AI, all those exciting technologies that you guys are using. It's nice to see, the link between some of the stuff that we do and the real, application in the working world. Thanks to Ivhani, for sharing your story, telling us about BSG, the exciting stuff about the 800+ projects that you guys have got under your belt. Thanks to our alumni as well, Ayesha and Ndabenhle. Great to see that you guys are rocking at BSG. We wish you all the best. Thank you so much to everyone for joining in, and we wish you all the best with the remainder of the semester. Please note that this is the last Tech Talk of the year. However, you still have one more opportunity to meet with industry experts, and I hope that BSG will be one of them as well. On the 8th of December, we have our next opportunity to engage with industry. That is at the press conference, which is happening on the 8th of December at 9 a.m. You get an opportunity to hear about career opportunities, internship opportunities, and vacation work. So that's our next appointment with you. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, BSG, for gracing our students with your expertise and information about BSG. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mandla.
Thank you
Everyone for having us.